Now we're diving into the fundamentals of content and editing, and we'll walk you through everything you need to know step by step to generate images that truly create visual interest and capture your audience's attention. Camera angles aren't just stylistic choices, they shape how we feel about the image and subject. The angle you shoot from can signal power, vulnerability, equality, or tension before a word is spoken. A low-angle shot is created when the camera is placed below the subject's eye line, tilted upward to capture them from beneath. This seemingly simple shift in perspective has profound visual and psychological effects. It enlarges the subject, reduces the audience's perspective, and flips the natural power dynamic of looking straight on. By forcing viewers to literally look up, you suggest dominance, confidence, and authority, even when the subject themselves may not be overtly acting powerful. Shooting from a low angle creates a powerful psychological effect. It makes the subject feel above the viewer, literally and figuratively. This angle exaggerates size and strength, broadens the shoulders, elongates posture, and magnifies presence. It can inspire respect or even instill fear. A character filmed from below appears confident and in control, even in silence. They seem to command the room. The viewers feel smaller, more submissive, or dependent, which shapes how we interpret their role. So when should you use it? For heroes in triumphant moments, villains asserting dominance, characters making bold decisions, or when you want to establish authority, expertise, or the premium value of a product. It's also great for showcasing corporate leaders who need to visually embody leadership. The degree of the angle matters. A slight low angle can feel respectful, suggesting subtle authority without intimidation. A dramatic round-up shot can make a character or object appear overwhelming, monumental, or even frightening. Combined with lens choice, lighting, and composition, the low angle can be fine-tuned to convey anything from admiration to fear. The low-angle shot is not just about visuals, it's about psychology. It reinforces a universal human truth. Those we look up to, physically or metaphorically, appear to have more power. By aligning camera perspective with this instinct, filmmakers and photographers can instantly manipulate how a subject is perceived, without a single line of dialogue. The next angle is the high angle. A high angle shot is created when the camera is positioned above the subject, tilted downward. Unlike the low angle, which inflates power, the high angle visually reduces the subject's presence, making them appear smaller in the frame. This subtle shift instantly alters perception. What once felt strong or commanding may now seem fragile, exposed, or humble. The degree of the tilt is crucial. A gentle high angle can soften a powerful character, making them feel relatable and approachable. A steeper high angle can emphasize weakness, insecurity, or loss of control, and an extreme bird's eye view can strip away individuality, showing insignificance or alienation in a vast environment. High angles tap into primal instincts. Looking down at someone suggests superiority, dominance, or responsibility, while the one looked down upon seems smaller, dependent, or vulnerable. Used carefully, this shot creates an emotional bridge between the audience and the subject. It creates sympathy and empathy, making the audience care for the subject's struggle. The subject appears powerless, uncertain, or emotionally exposed. It invites relatability, showing that even powerful figures can appear human when filmed from above. It induces protectiveness, putting the audience in a caring, almost parental position. And it highlights isolation. Subjects surrounded by empty space below them can feel small and insignificant. Characters in crisis work beautifully with high angles. A hero doubting themselves, sitting alone after failure, or facing impossible odds becomes more relatable through this perspective. Moments of defeat or reflection benefit from this angle. You can convey shame, exhaustion, or emotional surrender effectively. When you want to elicit sympathy, the high angle allows the audience to step into a protective role. Humanizing leaders or icons becomes possible with this shot. You can take untouchable figures and make them feel accessible. Childhood perspectives are naturally captured this way. The high angle mirrors how children see the world, looking up at authority, themselves framed as small, and isolation and loneliness are powerfully communicated when subjects are dwarfed by their surroundings, emphasizing emotional distance. The next angle is the eye-level shot. The eye-level shot places the camera at the subject's natural line of sight. Neither above nor below, it's the most neutral of all camera angles and mirrors how we typically interact with the world day to day. Because it doesn't distort perspective or introduce subconscious hierarchies, this angle creates a sense of equality, trust, and balance between subject and audience. Unlike low or high angles, which manipulate perception, eye-level shots recede into the background. They let the story, the character, or the information take center stage without imposing an emotional bias through framing. For this reason, eye level is a cornerstone of naturalistic storytelling, interviews, and documentary filmmaking. Eye-level shots create equality and neutrality, neither empowering nor diminishing the subject. They feel natural and comfortable, mimicking everyday interactions and avoiding exaggeration. They build trust because audiences instinctively feel they're on the same level as the subject, fostering honesty and connection. They let content speak for itself because this angle doesn't add dramatic weight. The focus remains on dialogue, performance, or information. And they encourage relatability by putting subject and viewer in a shared human space. Reducing barriers, grounded realism calls for this angle. Everyday conversations, slice-of-life storytelling, or moments meant to feel authentic work perfectly at eye level. Balanced dialogue benefits from this neutral perspective. Two characters on equal footing, debates, discussions, or emotionally even exchanges, maintain their balance through this framing. Honest communication requires an eye-level angle. Interviews, news reporting, or educational content where credibility is key depend on this straightforward approach. Characters establishing trust or connection with each other, or the audience feel more genuine. Presenting reality without overt cinematic manipulation keeps the focus on truth, and product or brand messaging works when honesty, transparency, and clarity are central to communication. Eye level reinforces these values visually. The next angle is called the Dutch angle, which differs significantly from the ones we just discussed. Not all camera angles convey neutrality, dominance, or vulnerability. Sometimes, an angle is deliberately chosen for its unconventionality, to create tension, surprise, or a heightened sense of style. These angles break the rules of natural perspective, which can make scenes memorable, unsettling, or visually striking. A Dutch angle is created when the camera is tilted so that the horizon line is slanted rather than level. This distortion instantly signals to the audience that something is off. It can suggest psychological tension, instability, or surrealism, turning even a simple shot into something charged with unease. Dutch angles create discomfort and tension. They suggest disorientation or imbalance in the world or a character's mind. They make otherwise ordinary scenes feel heightened or dramatic. And used sparingly, they become a stylistic signature. Psychological unease often demands this angle. Characters under stress, paranoia, or confusion benefit from the visual instability. Think of situations where disorientation plays a role, like a character not being able to think clearly, nightmares, or emotional breakdowns. Unstable relationships can be visualized through Dutch angles. This framing reveals conflict or imbalance between characters. Sometimes dramatic reveals also use this angle effectively. Shifting the camera to a tilt can foreshadow danger or disruption, signaling to the audience that something significant is about to happen. The next angle we're going to look at is the shoulder level shot. The camera is positioned roughly at the height of a person's shoulder, pointing straight toward the subject. That placement makes the audience feel closer and more engaged without exaggerating dominance or vulnerability. Shoulder-level shots create intimacy while keeping the subject approachable and natural. They're more engaging than a flat eye-level shot, adding a subtle sense of closeness without tipping into uncomfortable proximity. And they maintain emotional balance. The audience feels connected without feeling overpowered or positioned above the subject. Conversational scenes where emotional nuance matters benefit from this angle. It draws viewers in while preserving the authenticity of the interaction. Interviews gain warmth from shoulder-level framing. The slight shift from pure eye level creates engagement without feeling manipulative. Dialogues feel more intimate at this height. Characters connecting on a personal level become more relatable to the audience. And personal storytelling works beautifully here. This angle draws the audience closer without skewing power dynamics, making vulnerable moments feel safe and genuine. This angle works particularly well when you want to bridge the gap between documentary-style neutrality and cinematic intimacy. It's close enough to feel personal, but distant enough to maintain professionalism and trust. The hip-level shot places the camera around the subject's waist or belt line. Because this is lower than eye level but not extreme, it gives the subject a grounded and sturdy presence. It's a subtle way to emphasize physicality and control without overtly dominating the frame. Hip-level shots suggest balance, authority, and readiness. The audience feels anchored to the subject's stance, which communicates strength and confidence. This framing grounds the subject literally and figuratively, making them feel prepared and in control. And by lowering the camera just enough, you shift focus from pure facial emotion to the subject's overall physical presence and posture. This angle is iconic in westerns during duels, where both the armed character and the weapon appear in the frame. The hip-level perspective captures the tension of the moment while keeping the tools of conflict visible. Face-to-face confrontations benefit from this framing when body posture is as important as facial expression. Tools, holsters, or body language take center stage. The framing naturally directs attention to what characters carry and how they hold themselves. This angle works best when hands, belts, or props carry symbolic weight. A weapon on a hip or tools of a trade all gain significance at this level. Pairing hip-level shots with wider lenses allows the viewer to feel in the standoff alongside the characters. The perspective becomes immersive, placing the audience at ground level with the action rather than observing from a distance. The next angle we're looking at is the knee level or ground level shot. This angle positions the camera at knee height or directly on the ground, shooting upward. By lowering the perspective dramatically, everything in frame appears bigger, bolder, and more imposing. It transforms even ordinary movements into dramatic moments. Ground level shots exaggerate scale and presence, making subjects or environments feel monumental. They add visual intensity to action or dramatic reveals. The extreme low perspective creates a sense of awe and power that's impossible to achieve from higher angles. And by placing the camera at or near ground level, you force the audience to look up at everything, fundamentally shifting their relationship to what they're seeing. Epic entrances benefit dramatically from this angle. Heroes or villains arriving in full command become larger than life when framed from the ground. The low perspective heightens every movement and makes subjects appear more powerful and threatening. Reveals of architecture, vehicles, or landscapes use this angle to emphasize size and spectacle. This angle works well with wide-angle lenses to maximize distortion and scale. The wider the lens, the more dramatic the size exaggeration becomes. Ground-level framing can also put the audience in the point of view of something small or fallen, adding symbolic meaning. A character collapsed on the ground, a child's perspective, or even an animal's view of the world, all become possible through this positioning. The angle carries emotional weight beyond just visual drama. The next angle is called bird's eye shot. A bird's eye shot is taken directly above the subject, looking straight down. This angle eliminates natural perspective, reducing subjects to shapes and patterns, almost like seeing from a higher power's perspective. Bird's eye shots highlight insignificance, vulnerability, or order within chaos. They flatten depth, creating graphic, geometric compositions. This extreme overhead perspective removes the human connection we normally have with subjects at eye level. And by looking straight down, the audience becomes a witness to patterns and relationships that characters themselves cannot see. Mapping out geography works beautifully from above. Battles, chases, or large environments become clear and readable when viewed from this omniscient perspective. Showing isolation gains emotional power through bird's eye framing. A single character dwarfed by their environment communicates loneliness and vulnerability in a way no other angle can. Visualizing systems, patterns, or choreography becomes possible from above. Crowds moving through spaces, traffic flowing through intersections, or dancers creating formations all reveal their structure when viewed from overhead. And adding symbolic weight makes this angle particularly meaningful.